Hey everybody, here we are with another one of my World of Tanks replays, this time solo pubbing in the T67, the artist formerly known as T49. Now this thing did see some changes. The turret was switched, so now the top turret is the open top and the closed top turret is the stock one. And you kind of have to use the open top one if you want to do well in this, because it gives you the extra view range that you really need. This thing hasn't really seen a major rebalance that I know of for basically forever. And it makes the pre-nerf Hellcat look innocent by comparison. People who don't really know what they're doing are going to struggle with the T67, but holy shit, if you play it well, it pays out incredibly. So the reason I was playing it, other than the fact I kind of foolishly, when I first started playing the game, I skipped up a lot of the US tank destroyer tree, and so I hadn't really played a lot of the more fun sort of TDs. I had a T30 from when it was still there, heavy tank, but I hadn't played this or the M8 or the Hellcat. Of course, I got a Hellcat quite a long time ago to play tank companies with, and just recently I got an M8. This thing I barely played, so I decided I may as well get some more matches in the T67, and in the process I was hoping to get some of the earlier TD missions done in this, rather than having to slog through tier 9 and 10 matches, hoping for the best, particularly on West, where I was having trouble finding platoon mates, especially the hours I play, and the player base is just shit. So to start out with, I've gone West. Pretty solid place for a TD on Prokhorovka. There are other places you can go to, but the Western Road is usually the safest bet, and this thing has the mobility anyway to flex out if I need it to. It's one of the more mobile TDs in the game. Of course, much like the M8 that leads to it, and much like the Hellcat that follows it, that's kind of their whole deal, is they're very mobile, with good camo, good view ranges, and very good guns for their tier. I'm carrying binoculars on my T67, very nearly said T49 there, and so I'm able to just sit here and spot all the way down the field. Not quite as far as I need to. The enemy tanks are probably tucked down in K1 and J1, but if anything comes charging across the open in front of me, I'm going to see it before it sees me, well before it sees me in fact. And then this Lee gets spotted, starts getting shot at, and rams face first into me. That would have been enough of a problem if he hadn't actually hit me, because by driving through the bush I'm hiding in, he would have drawn all that fire over here and potentially could have got me killed. It's happened before. Thankfully, he doesn't draw fire onto my position, and he only takes 5 of my hit points away, but still very irritating. Watch where you're going, and please, please, please do not bait enemy fire into your unspotted teammates. It's really not nice. Now, the tanks around me are, first of all, not very good at spotting things, and second of all, they're not actually even trying to, while the enemy Lukes repeatedly lights everybody.
Enemy armor is damaged.
The Marder 38T gets spotted by somebody, and with some help from the team, he goes down. At this point, I see fit to push up. Wait for my binoculars to pop into effect. I still can't see anything, so very foolishly I begin thinking, oh, maybe it's clear and they've backed all the way up or gone to the other flank. And I'm an idiot and forgot to turn my Steam notifications off again. Anyway, I decide I'll pull back and cut across here, try and push up maybe 10-20 more meters and spot further down the field. This is a terrible plan, because I cross the road, and in crossing the road and then stopping to shoot at the Lukes, I get myself lit. Specifically, I think it was actually firing at him that started drawing attention. I'm used to having sixth sense, and so when I don't have it, I tend to do stupid things, without even thinking, oh shit, I'm probably spotted. There's an argument to be made that Sixth Sense really ought to just be removed. Wargaming have said they want to make it a Radio Man skill and I think give it to everybody. I don't know about that. Might be a little too much information. I mean, I know why it's in there. It's to counter the urge of puppies to camp all game, but it's just, I don't know, I'm not sure I like it. Anyway, I moved to engage the M4, but I have better shots back down the field at these guys.
Enemy armor is damaged.
And so I work on taking out the Grant and the Matilda while I still can. Managed to get a lucky track into the Grant there. I was actually trying to damage him, but fucked up my lead. Ended up tracking him instead. Not going to complain. He goes down, and the Matilda's next. I know he probably hasn't moved, so I fire a couple more shots at where he was last spotted, and then the M4 is starting to get awfully close to our Artie, to our cap. So I turned focus on him instead. I missed that shot, probably not by much though, and the T40 cleans him up. Things are looking a little bad for my team right now, but thankfully myself and the T40 are still alive, if only barely. You'll notice my commander's dead. I already used my medkit, and so I'm now stuck with really gimpy view range for the rest of the match, which is a big problem and usually a death sentence in a TD that has no armor and relies on its view range, but in this case I managed to get away with it. Just. At this point I need to start taking it slowly, working up 1 or 2 bushes at a time, just sort of bounding up, stopping, and then bounding up again. We've still got plenty of time on the clock. In fact, we've got just under 8.5 minutes, so there's no need to rush. The only thing that really worries me is the Churchill was last seen up by our cap, and I really don't want him pushing on it with me down the other end of the map. I don't really trust the T40 to be able to handle a Churchill. Our T34 heads down towards the K line, out in the middle of the open field, unfortunately. He is in defilade there from the Matilda's position, but it's not a wise plan. The enemy do still have 2 Artie, neither of which have been spotted, and there's one of them.
Penetration.
Don't know where that shot went, but thankfully I'm able to finish the Artie before he can relocate, but one of the, well, not one of, the other Artie manages to pick off the T34, who was presumably lit by the Panzer Selbstfahrerfett 4.
Penetration.
Matilda starts pushing me now. I was really worried he was going to get a shot in there and kill me. He wouldn't have had any trouble doing it. Matilda has decent on-the-move accuracy for a low-tier tank, and he would have penned me no matter what, and I think he would have had the alpha to one-shot me. But for some reason he didn't take the shot, and I was able to put 2 penning shots into him before he had a chance to do anything. Bit of a snapshot there, but I'm pretty much guaranteed not to be seen by the Churchill. Anyway, I'm sitting behind bushes more than 15 meters back. In fact, there's about 3 or 4 rows of bushes in front of me. No way he would have seen me. The AMX is still pressing on towards our base. Now the AMX 40 can actually kill myself and the T40 without too much trouble, but we can also kill him. I can't recall what the alpha of the AMX 40's top gun is, but I do know it's a derp gun, so I'm going to guess it's probably enough to one-shot either of us at this point. I tell the T40 that I need him to spot while I fire, because my commander is dead, and with a dead commander your spotting range is put in the shitter well and truly. Thankfully he is able to spot the AMX 40, and in fact he deals with it before I can get an accurate shot into it. My first shot falling just a little bit short. At this stage it's just the AMX 105 to deal with. I tell the T40 to get on the cap with the idea that he can cap and draw it out while I go hunting for it, but the Su-76 actually gives me a bit of a wake-up call and reminds me I am very low on hit points and can't afford even a near-miss shotgun. And so I sort of weave around the middle trying to spot the arty while I wait for the T40 to catch up. T40 begins moving down the one line, which has already been well and truly cleared. And so I start moving to get on cap. The AMX 105 could be basically anywhere on the east side of the map at this point. I don't want to risk him running to our cap and diving on it. So I try and draw him out by getting on the enemy cap. And then if he pops up, either myself or the T40 should be able to deal with him. However, the AMX 105 is actually a pretty decent arty piece. From what I recall, it actually gets a really good APCR round as its gold round, as well as, you know, just being a French arty, so it's fairly mobile and fairly accurate from what I've heard. I've never played it. I'm not an arty player, so I'm sorry I can't give you a better description of it there, but Helsaw raves about how good the thing is in the forums, so it must be good if he likes it. One of my teammates says to let me get Top Gun. Fuck Top Guns, quite frankly. I would rather have a win than a pointless award I already have something like 200 of. Really don't need any more Top Guns. Just, seriously, I just want wins. Particularly while doing these stupid missions. T40's dawdling around a bit. He's looking for the arty, he's not finding it. And finally he starts heading towards the cap. And there goes the replay bug. Scan the railway line, waiting for the AMX to come up, but he actually comes in through the middle of the map, which was interesting, and I begin moving before I fire, which fucks my aim completely. In fact, at this point, I very nearly threw the game. I should have just sat still and aimed, I would have been fine. Instead, that would have been very embarrassing. Very embarrassing if he hadn't missed me. Either way, good little demonstration of the kind of things a T67 can do. It doesn't have the hit points or the armor to survive hits, so your primary defense is just not being spotted. And with extremely good mobility, good camo, and a very, very good view range, it's pretty good at not being spotted. You've just got to play it carefully, relocate around the map as needed, and of course at this tier, tier 5, the 76mm gun is actually pretty powerful. 115 alpha is enough to knock down a tier 5 medium in, I want to say 4 shots, maybe 5 if you're unlucky. And a tier 5 heavy has what, about average 600 and... I think a KV is 640 armor. 640 hit points. Jesus Christ. Certainly not 640 armor. You know, the 640 hit points doesn't last long against this gun. And, you know, it has the pen to deal with some of the weaker armored tier 7s even. So it's a pretty powerful gun, and fairly accurate. So at this tier you can inflict quite a lot of damage. It really is just a smaller Hellcat and actually probably a bit more imbalanced. And, you know, the Hellcat got the living shit nerfed out of it because people are constantly complaining and because it, I guess, it saw a lot of use in tank companies and clan wars. The T67 has escaped unharmed because people just don't realise how fucking good it is. I think the same thing happens with the M8A1. You don't really see people play them. Everyone kind of ground through them on the way to the Hellcat and didn't actually stop to think, wait, shit, this thing's at least as good as the Hellcat is, maybe a bit better, why don't I just keep playing this? And such is the puppy mindset. Whenever they latch onto a new flavour of the weak tank, they absolutely have to get it. They ignore all the good tanks along the line and just get the end tank and then complain when it gets nerfed. I don't know what they think is going to happen. If everyone just rushes a tank because they're told it's overpowered, one of two things will happen. First thing, which is actually a big thing that happened with the Hellcat, most of the people who get one are shit anyway, and so, you know, if it's a tank like the Hellcat that requires skill to be effective, they're not going to actually do well in it, and they're going to think it's a pile of shit and everyone lied to them, because a bad player cannot make a Hellcat work. The second thing that will happen is either, you know, that, and they're all disappointed and disillusioned and You know, oh, it's everyone's full of shit, this tank's garbage, blah blah blah. Or they'll end up making the thing such a statistical anomaly that Wargaming will just home in on it for a nerf. This happened with so many tanks. People hear it's really powerful or it's strong, it's overpowered, whatever thing, you know. It's the new hotness and everyone has to have one. Or it's the new meta for Clan Wars, everyone has to have one. And, you know, if it's a genuinely good, strong, all-round tank, like, say, or I don't know, the T110E5, and everyone dives on it, you're just asking for it to eventually get nerfed, because it's going to start appearing very blatantly on Wargaming stats that a lot of people are playing it, and, you know, it's outperforming a lot of other tanks, which either aren't as well loved and don't get played as much, or which just don't perform as strongly in as many situations. That's the interesting thing as well. There's a very strong difference between tanks that are potentially excellent and tanks that are just good generalists. The good generalists tend to fare better in the hands of pubbies and end up with better overall stats. The tanks which are real diamonds in the rough but take a good player to exploit usually get away without nerfs. Wargaming have shown numerous times they aren't going to nerf tanks based on player skill. The Hellcat was an exception, I think, because just so many people were playing it and it was a regular fixture of tank companies. But a lot of questionably balanced tanks like this and the M8A1 get it off scot-free because, you know, it doesn't turn up. Bad players will still be bad in these, and there aren't enough good players who, you know, who are clued in on the sort of secret, if you will, of how good they are, that it's not a problem. Anyway, I've got a little bit more T67 gameplay to show. I'm trying to power through my 9.5 replays at the moment so I can get them out of the way. A couple other goons have sent me in ones or have posted them in the Something Awful thread. And I'm going to put them up, and then I've got another video of the AMX Chasseur de Char, which I recorded on test, which I'm going to put up at some point after I get the 9.5 shit done. And then, who knows, we'll see where we go. I'm probably going to throttle back pretty seriously on the World of Tanks stuff for a while, and we'll see what else we can get up. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video. I wish you the best of luck in the field, and I also hope that your favourite tanks don't get nerfed because of pubbies, because that is a terrible thing to have happen. I'll see you on the next one.